The Church of Rock.
Right now, I'd really like to not waste any more time and get right to our main guest for tonight. I'm really excited. On the phone with us, and it's the second interview and conversation with him, and we're very proud to present our chat with Duncan Faure. Hi, Duncan.
Hello, Derek. How are you? Hi, Sister Tracy.
We are so good and much better now that you're here.
Oh, man, thank you. Good to be here. The Reverend Church of Rock.
Yeah.
Reverend Derek.
Well, we're very honored with your presence. Are you in Vegas right now, Duncan?
Yeah, in Las Vegas. Las Vegas.
Nice. What have you been doing today? Anything exciting?
Yeah, we've done shows all over the show. No, it's just been quite. I visited my family today, my kids, and we watched the Super Bowl, and we just came in now to be on your show. And again, great to be here. And just writing songs. As you know, everybody's shut down, so we're still closed down, all the gigs.
Are you recording or just writing?
I'm doing something this week, yeah, with Captain Steve-O. We're recording a new song of mine, something called Dancing in Circles.
Dancing in Circles, yeah.
Dancing around in circles, yes. I've got so many songs, really, that haven't been recorded. It's a choice of trying to find the right one, or, when I'm able to record them, really.
Will that song be released to us public soon at all?
Yeah, hopefully in, I don't say too soon, but a week or two, give us 2 weeks, yeah.
That's so cool, Duncan. I've been listening to a lot of the Rabbit music lately.
A lot of the Rabbit, you say Rabbit, of course, yes, Rabbit. Yeah, I remember them.
You might remember those guys.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, I've been listening to a Croak and a Grunt in the Night and other stuff. Is there ever going to be a Rabbit reunion or no way?
I've really wanted that for many years, and for some reason it just hasn't happened, and it's just too weird because when I toured there in 2017, it was really weird. People would come backstage and the guys, and then when we were, many years ago, we were the girls sort of pulling one shoulder to the next, and now it's the guys would come in because we were well known out there because of Rabbit. The guys were pulling me from my back, and there was no security. I remember the one, and they were going, "When is Rabbit getting back together?" Almost with tears in their eyes. These sort of football players. So with Chihuahuas, people loved Rabbit. So
yeah. And
as Trevor did really well in the movie industry, right? Film scores and of course with Yes. So he got sorted out, and but no, there hasn't been a Rabbit reunion, and it's a pity because it was a great band, especially with the bass and drummer.
Yeah, we know.
All the time.
We know that Trevor was in Yes. What was the other member? What's the other cat from Rabbit up to these days?
Somebody called Neil Cloud, who was our drummer, was incredible. And he ended up playing with Peter Frampton, after Rabbit. And Ronnie Robot was our bass player, also incredible.
Ah.
It was a great band, and it's a tragedy that we broke up. But it's good that we still all here, Derek, yeah.
Wow, I just love Rabbit, man. I've just finally got my...
Oh, really? Yeah. It is a pity. It was great. It was not dated. It's never dated.
Is your favorite Rabbit album, by chance, the Rock Rabbit, or is that one of your favorites?
Yeah, that's our third Rabbit album, yes.
Yeah, I just ordered a copy on vinyl from South Africa.
Good, yeah.
I'm so excited.
Oh, good. There's a good one on there. Did very well for us. I wrote called Getting Through to You. It's one of my favorite ones on that. It was charted and all that.
Nice, and I know you guys also did the theme song for Dingley's Bookshelf, which was a TV series in South Africa.
Yeah,
how did that come about?
Oh, sitcom. My late brother was a film producer, and he went off to London to study for many years, and he came back with his credentials, and pretty soon he was the top director there. And as Rabbit was coming up, I wrote the song, and somehow it got chosen for the sitcom. It ran for a year, and it was just really nice. It used to play before the TV show, the beginning and the end, so we'd watch it every week. It was called Dingley's Bookshop. I don't know if you've got it there. You can play it at some point, yeah.
Also, I wanted to ask you, Duncan, about 1978, I think you were offered to record Love is in the Air, which was a John Paul Young song.
Love is in the air. Love is in the air.
Now, you turned that down. Yeah. What was the story? Did you just not feel in it at the time or something?
Between my period of Rabbit and Bay City Rollers was 78. It was the year I moved to America. And And my manager at the time, as we mentioned last time, when I foolishly left to join the Rollers, but it was good. I mean, you can imagine joining the Rollers, incredible. But he had one of the songs that I missed out on was Love Is In the Air, and he came back the next day and said, we got this guy, John Paul Young, was singing it. And I knew John Paul Young because he toured South Africa a year before in our Rabbit days. Yeah, that's right. And I nearly got killed at one of his shows. I was sitting in the wings at the Coliseum where we played with Rabbit. 13 shows we did, over the period of 3 years, we did 13 shows at the Coliseum. And I was sitting in the wings, and I just got up. For some reason, I got up. We get up. And this horn from about 20 foot came crashing down and smashed the sort of bench I'd been sitting on. I always remembered that. I would have probably been not been here. But so that was John Paul. Yeah, that was my... So, yes, he nearly had me killed. Thank you, Derek and Sister Tracy. And then a year later, he sang the song that is still a hit today, which is Love Is In the Air.
Sure is, man. Well, I just wanted to clear that up and ask you about that, Duncan.
Yeah, I knew John Paul Young, back in the day.
Now, you worked with, of course, Madonna on the Who's That Girl soundtrack. Who chose that song? Did you write that song, Duncan?
No, unfortunately, I didn't write it, but I sing it. And I sing it. It's in the movie, the 24 Hours, the fourth track, all of the tracks on the album, 24 Hours.
Did you get to hang out with Madonna much? Were you guys friends?
No, I didn't, unfortunately, but I got to work with the producers at the time who were incredible producers, yeah.
Joy Buzzers?
Joy Buzzers? What about the Joy Buzzers?
Joy Buzzers, that was with our great friend Ian Mitchell.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, and if you remember Ian, we sadly lost.
Yeah, that stuff is...
Ian, the Bay City Roller.
I've never had any... Was there records? Was there any records released by that?
We did some, yeah, we did a couple of shows, and it was really nice.
Wow.
And we recorded 4 tracks together. There are actually tracks sitting there. We must try and dig them out.
That's neat. I just didn't know if they were officially released or not.
Yeah, we did a DVD. Yeah, there's a video cassette. Well, it was 90s, right? Yeah, 90s.
Right.
We must dig that out, too. We must have some nice footage with Ian on it.
Why was the Burning Rubber soundtrack never officially released, Duncan?
That's weird, because we did the South African tour all those years ago, and and the boys all went back to England for about a month, because, yeah, that's right. It was said Alan was going to act in this movie, Burning Rubber, and Woody's girlfriend at the time, we won't go that deep, Woody's girlfriend was the director's father. I mean, the daughter, of the director. Get that right. So suddenly there was a movie happening, and Alan was going to be the actor, so they all went back to England. I stayed in South Africa, and Eric didn't want to come back to South Africa because the press was kind of heavy towards the band. And so just 3 of them came. Alan came back, of course, and Derek, another Derek, and Woody, of course. And the 3 or 4 of us recorded a whole bunch of tracks. So that's those sort of 2 months.
Interesting.
We were doing that movie. Yeah, we were doing a movie, Burning Rubber. We were his mechanics, and he was a racing car driver, superstar racing champion. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I've been wanting to ask so many questions. Like, how about the Bay City Rollers breakout album? It seems like you weren't credited, but didn't you have some stuff to do with that album?
We in 1985 there was kind of a reunion planned, and we all met up in Scotland. There was all of us, and it didn't. We hung up. We did. Yeah, that's right. We did some touring. We played in Ireland. We played in Scotland and Ireland. Yeah, we did about 12 places in Ireland, and it was, I think, everybody: Ian, Pat, myself, Les, Woody, Eric, and that's all of us. And was Derek on it? I don't think Derek was on it, and. It got crazy again. It was the point where all of us were, tied to the boys and just wanted to get away from the boys, really, and get the girls. No, I don't mean that either. I was just, you've been in a band since you were 11 years old, and whatever age we were, you kind of it's time to move on.
Yeah, I understand.
Of course, now when we're older, we give anything to have it all back. That's how life works, Derek. But and then we started recording. And they were going to Australia, and somehow it didn't work out. I didn't go with them to Australia, and I'm kind of pleased. I think only 3 or 4 of the guys went, and it turned into a disaster because Eric came home. He didn't like it, came home immediately, and something went wrong. money-wise, and I was kind of pleased I wasn't on it. But there was an album, and initially I was part of it, and then I wasn't. Yeah.
Wow. When you were in the band Carew with Woody, you had a song called did you write the song Where's the Music about John Lennon?
Yeah, I wrote that. Sorry, what was it about? Yeah.
Wow.
What did you say that? Yeah, I just wrote that. It wasn't really about anything. I remember writing that song. Number 2 for us in South Africa, the Carew version, yeah.
I thought it was about John Lennon. I thought I'd ask you that.
Because you did meet John Lennon, right?
Yeah, it was just a song. Where's the music? Where's some good music, really? And Strawberry Hill was kind of, exactly, probably what it is. Where's the music and where's the Beatle music? Yeah, kind of similar to that.
Duncan, didn't you get an autograph from John Lennon once? I think I read that somewhere.
I did, yes. My brother and I, when we came to America in February 78, and I never got to meet them. I had a scrapbook, a rabbit scrapbook, which was kind of really cool. We had all those press front pages, and there were a couple of those sort of stuck in this book. And so the book went up, kind of like, what's that story? Jack and Jill went up the hill and whatever. Anyway, the book went up the hill into the Dakota and came down with an autograph, but I never saw him. But he signed the book Love and Dream Wishes, John Lennon. So that was nice,
wow.
Yeah.
How cool. Do you still have it? Please tell me you still have it.
Do I? I fortunately have a photocopy of it, but somebody stole my scrapbook. So no, I don't have the. But I do have Beatle autographs. I do have other ones. So,
that's cool.
Yeah, that one sadly was stolen, but I do have the copy of it. In fact, I wrote a song, Lovin', because when it was stolen, that scrapbook was stolen. You're going to feel, well, how can you take a negative and turn it into a positive?
Yeah.
Oh, well, let's write a song, Love and Dreamed Wishes. So there's a piano vocal song out there called Love and Dreamed Wishes. I think it is. It's on my Bandcamp. If you go to my Bandcamp, myname.bandcamp.com, yeah.
And that's cool.
And it's on there, Love and Dreamed Wishes.
One of the things
and there's a copy, you can actually see his autograph there. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that seems to be kind of how you live your life from what I've read about you. And, I don't believe everything I read in the press, but it just seems like every time something ends or, you just take it in stride and move forward and start something that's just as cool, if not cooler. You just keep going and you don't let it get you down and you just keep moving ahead and the next thing is just as good as the last thing.
Yeah, well, we just go up and down in this music business, as you know. Yeah, 1 minute you're up, next minute you're down, next minute you're back. And a lot of that. Yeah,
you seem to be able to have maintained a lot of your integrity and your morals throughout this, and that's not an easy thing to do in this business.
Amen.
Oh, man. Yep, thank you.
I would like to ask you also, thank you. First of all, thank you so much for being accessible to your fans. I know there's a lot of people that kind of hide themselves away, and you've always been very respectful despite rumors, gossip, bad vibes, weird fans. You always seem to stay neutral, and I want to say thank you for keeping everyone in your heart, Duncan.
There's been a lot of dissension amongst the various fans, the various groups, and we're all in the same group, really. So we get older, this life is too short, just take it in our stride and we move on. But yeah, I'm still happy we have fans. They fight amongst themselves, really. Writing a song called Girls in the Yard, which is quite fun. In fact, I finished it now, just about through the years of various, and it's kind of, so there's a lot of fighting amongst themselves.
Yeah.
I just walk away, because if you get involved, it gets you down. So it's just not hearing it,
That's exactly what I do. I just try to walk away from the drama and keep enjoying the music.
Derek from the Rollers, he's like the other Derek. He's from the. They got shell shocked early on, I think, to the fans, and Eric too. If you mention Bay City Rollers, he doesn't talk to you for a month.
I've heard.
Forget what I'm saying. A month. So you don't know. So we don't mention the BCR. But and the phone never stops. It's unfortunately been a long time since I visited Derek in Scotland, and it was 2003 December, and even then the phone didn't stop. If somebody from Germany wanting to, and he just wasn't interested. They just weren't interested, which is a pity, because I missed the band a lot. They're a great band.
Yeah, really?
I'm so happy you're picking up on it, you know?
Well, Duncan, I've been listening to the Rollers since 1974. I drove my mother crazy. I drove my mom crazy. She took me to see the Classics 4 in 1977 in concert, and I've been driving my wife nuts for about 30 years as well.
Yep, sure has.
Oh, so she must be. Eventually they go crazy, Derek. Watch out, all the... watch out to all the roller fans. They eventually drive. No, I'm joking.
Well, listen, if you could form a super group, a rock and roll super group, who would be in that super group, Duncan?
Well, we get Paul, Ringo, well, obviously Trevor. I'd love to be Rabbit or Rollers would be such a dream one day. Trevor's just done too well to really care about anything else, I suppose. And Rollers just a weird. They had a huge reunion, was it 3-4 years ago, which I would have loved to have been part of. And they did hugely well, but they ended up in a row or something. Again, I don't know what happened. There was some huge row backstage. Maybe you know more about it than me. And they never got off the ground again. It was a pity because it was press all around the world, big reunion, and they played to huge, 50,000 people.
Wow.
Something crazy, and then they break up.
Yeah.
It's just too weird how that works.
It's a shame, Duncan. It really is. I know that you're back in the day. You did some reunion tours with Pat McGlynn and the other guys, and Pat's getting ready to record some new stuff, and he has expressed interest in you being part of some of that writing. And I know Nobby Clark has.
Brilliant! I hear you doing something with Pat too. That's great. I was listening to some of the music in your show. It was 3-4 weeks ago. It was brilliant. Pat and Janine.
Wow.
I met Janine also probably 78 when I joined the band.
Really?
Great
Yeah, I met her. She used to, I think, I'm not sure, I think I met her before Pat, because she used to hang out with Eric.
That's right, and Eric was producing her song Diamond Girls, or Diamond Eyes.
I remember her. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Diamond Eyes, yeah, and I can't find that record for nothing.
And I'd be all shy. I was new in the band and sort of towing my way around. But, it was a great time, I remember, yeah.
Is there any people you've worked with that we might be surprised or might not know that you've worked with, like in the background?
Oh, yeah, worked with, yep. One I always forget about, Jason Bonham. That's a nice one. He's only done one album. He may have done one recently, I'm not sure. But I'm in the one in the late 80s. I do background singing on that album, Jason Bonham.
Nice.
There's another one, a Japanese band, Bow Wow, that I did something on. I'm on many sessions, I'm on some recordings here and there. We don't. Every now and then I'm in the studio doing something with somebody.
That's so cool.
Therapy. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I said that is just so cool that you get to do all that session work, and that's really cool.
Oh, yeah. There was a band in Sweden. They recorded one of my songs, which about 8 years, 7 years ago. When was it? Yeah, quite a while ago. Oh, time's moving on. La Fleur Fatale. They did something called "How Long Is Too Long." And I was actually writing that about the Rollers. How long is too long before you get together? And the lyrics go from there. And I just put out Anthology. You just got Anthology, I think you said, right? Or we? I
did not. Not yet. I will, but I want.
Hasn't arrived.
No, I don't have Anthology yet.
Did we? I will check up on that. And So Anthology was out with on Global Recording Artists in San Francisco.
Is that the World Music one, you mean?
Is the World what?
Is the World Music CD, is that different than the Anthology when you're talking about?
Oh, no, yeah, that's different. The First World Band is For the Rights of All Man. I think you got that. That's something we did in South Africa when my fallen brother passed away.
Okay, yeah, that's the last one I got from you, but everything I've gotten has been just so delightful. I've got three of your solo records.
Oh, thank you, man. Wow.
Yeah. Also, more questions.
So, yeah, I was telling you about La Fleur Fatale. So Carl, that's the guy from Global Recording Artists in San Francisco. If you go into San Francisco, he knew that guy to sing as well. But he said to me, there's a band from Sweden, they really want to meet me. They like me. They love Elevator, and they like my songs and all that. And it was almost like, oh, geez, do they have, what do they want, there's 5 of them in the band. They they really want to meet. So, okay, so we said, yeah. So they arrived with 2 huge, what do you call those, RVs, two massive RVs arrive, and literally half of Sweden pours out into our place. And they just kept coming. I couldn't believe it. The whole place was just filling up with every person from Sweden. So anyway, and they left me their CDs as they left, and I started listening to them. What a great band, La Fleur Fatale, if ever you. And they ended up doing one of my songs. I sent them one song. They loved it, called How Long Is Too Long, and they did it. He sounds very much like Pete Ham. I believe I still have a Reverb Nation. If you type in my name and Reverb Nation, I think the very first song we still have up there is How Long Is Too Long by La Fleur Fatale. That's something I wrote, and he sounds so like Badfinger. It's just really
I love
nice.
Badfinger, one of the most underrated bands, and what a shame.
Oh, Pete Ham, I know.
Incredible band.
Hey, Duncan, the songs that were on the Burning Rubber soundtrack, were those songs originally going to be on a Rollers album?
Oh, yeah, we kind of, we were talking about that, right. That's the first Roller album that I did with him that's just sort of sitting on hold, and and it maybe will come out somewhere. It's got a couple of nice songs, and it's got Lay Your Love on the Line, and I saw you posted something the other day. It's got Doors and Bars and Metal on as well. It's a different one to the one on Ricochet. Yeah. And I think it's better. And if you ever can, and Lay Your Love on the Line, I think it's better than the one on Ricochet.
So, Duncan, are you telling me that you have a whole nother album after Ricochet that's available that's just never been released?
There is, yeah. There's the Burning Rubber one. It's all the music that stuff. Yours and Mine is on that.
Okay.
Another Late Night. And Woody wrote Burning Rubber. I think I co-wrote that with him, or I wrote some of it. He wrote most of it.
Are you in touch with Woody these days?
On and off, yeah. Yes, every now and then we say hello on Facebook. We're good friends. I went to a show 2019 in New York.
Beautiful.
We were happy to see each other, yeah. We're great friends, yeah.
I sure wish I could get him on the show sometime, but I'm glad to talk to Duncan Faure. He's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm happy to be on your show, yeah.
Yeah, I'm really appreciative, man. Were there any particular favorite Rollers tours that you did, or reunions or anything? Any favorite ones?
The tours, I think our 79 tour in America was the funnest tour I've ever had. It's a famous story I like to tell. We were in London, around the mid-79, and Elevator just came out. We came back from Germany. And Tam, the dreaded manager, I thought, I missed Tam, he's also long gone. Manager was going, when you get to America, you're getting a bus. You're going to be traveling around the bus. And everybody sort of jumped, we're not getting a bus. We're the Rollers. We want a jet, It was funny, and we got a bus, and it was just the most happiest, most incredible time that you could imagine. But, of course, we had hotel rooms as well, so it made it nice. We do have both.
Was the Mania still happening at that point?
Oh, yeah, it was great. Yeah, of course.
Was Rabbit Mania...
They love the Rollers. They love the Rollers, yeah.
Was Rabbit Mania crazier for you than the Roller Mania experience?
Rabbit Mania was... Sure, I hate to say... it sounds very conceited like the Beatles. It was unbelievable what happened there. I still can't believe it to this day. I look at some of the... And it's almost like looking at somebody else and go, was that really me in the middle of all that? And I have to sort of, yes, it was. We were.
Wow.
But it went crazy. I don't know what it was. It was just a nice chemistry of the band, It just kind of exploded. It was just... and it's weird because politically we were so out of the picture being South Africa.
Yeah, right time, right place, and just good music, and I think it just all worked out in your favor because it was, just such good music. You guys rocked.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we had a great band, with Trevor, of course, Mr. Owner of the Lonely Heart. Can't go wrong with that.
I might have asked you this during the last interview, but somebody, Heidi in Ontario, Canada, asked, what is your favorite Bay City Rollers song?
Probably Elevator, because I wrote most of it. Elevator, yeah, I think Elevator, just because it's really powerful. When you do it live, it just really cooks,
Yeah.
What else? The instrumental one, Ricochet, which I wrote, we like that, We like the ones we write. No, it's not always like that, too. I like Life on the Radio, Eric's one.
That's beautiful.
And he wrote Doors and Bars and Metal.
You know,
what is the favorite one? Your favorite? Yeah, go. There were a couple of them, I suppose. Yeah.
You know, Eric Faulkner. I'm a big fan of his songwriting, and I think he's so underrated. Yeah. He's so underrated, really.
Yeah, he's got a beautiful song. One of his songs, "Guardian Angel." It's just one of the most beautiful songs ever. I'll be your guardian angel. You got to hear it to believe it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I am familiar, but I've been listening to a lot of his folk stuff. His recent folk stuff is really great, and of course all the Bay City Rollers like Money Honey and all those great Rock and Roller and just amazing. But it's
go ahead.
No, that was it. It was just kind of recollecting of how good of a writer Eric is. Really,
Yeah. Of course, yeah.
So what's next for Duncan? What are you doing? I know you're still in the studio. You said you're always writing, but what are your immediate plans?
Well, I'm just writing songs. Also, I got cornered with COVID, and the last gig I did was Halloween, and the place was packed. It was with our good friends in Pahrump, and Sandra, she's just got COVID. Beautiful Sandra, who booked me, really saved us when we need. She gave us so much work in 2019 in Pahrump, and I have some, and she's just got out of hospital. Thank God, Sandra gets well. Anyway, so yeah, she booked me many a night in Pahrump, and that's how I got a Producer's Choice Award. Because there was a guy there that came in one of the Saturday shows, and he was just sitting there quietly with his wife, and the next thing he came up to me like a game show host. He's like, "What are you doing on November the 13th? But there's always music going. And said, "You've just won." And I said, I couldn't believe. I thought he was joking. But anyway, it turned out I got a Producer's Choice Award. Thanks, Al Bowman, here in Las Vegas.
Congratulations.
November 2019, yeah.
Yeah, and I want to say thank you to your fan, Karen Lee in Rhode Island, for assisting with so many great questions. Lee. She sent over a lot of questions for me and was really instrumental in helping with the interview.
Oh, good old Karen. Yes, she's been my faithful since a long time ago. Old faithful fan, yeah.
Yeah, a great person.
Yep.
Well, Duncan, I'm going to probably let you go so we can do some more parts of the show before the show runs out. But boy, is it exciting to talk with you, and it went so quickly, man.
Yeah, oh man, it's always great to talk to you. I wanted to mention when we left out last time, we were talking about why I never played with Ian. I did play. What happened was in the 90s we played with Ian. We did many shows, and of course Ian from the Bay City Rollers.
Yes.
And then eventually, out of loyalty to the real Rollers, I mean, not to record, not that we weren't, we couldn't do shows because always promoters calling us, yeah, come on, go to do the show, and so eventually I stopped doing it. And fortunately, Ian carried on. And then later in life, because we never finished the story, and I think Wendy wanted me to finish the story, Ian's wife. And later in life, it was sad. Recently, I couldn't play with Ian because we were on this massive lawsuit, which eventually fell by the wayside. And it was kind of a tragic situation. The band, as you know, sold over 100 million records, and we never got paid a dime through the years. And, we were all part of that to a less extent. Me, I was also part of that because I lost, the Ricochet, the 3 albums I did, which, we sold huge amounts. And none of us, and through the years, there've been on compilations, and nobody got paid anyway. Long story short, was a 10-year lawsuit, and I was fortunate enough. I was on the lawsuit because I was in the band for 3.5 years. Now, unfortunately, Ian was in the band for 6 months. So
yeah,
I was also a contract member, and it got to a point where I was told if I'd perform with Ian or do anything with him, I'll be thrown off the lawsuit. So it was very sad. So the last years, I couldn't actually play with Ian, and it's also tragic because,
thank you.
And today I'd give anything to play with him. But that was, so I was originally loyal to the original guys, and, you see what that happens. They eventually ended up with strangers. So, yeah, I missed out on playing with Ian, so I wanted to clear that up for Wendy's sake, that, the recent years I couldn't play with Ian because of the lawsuit. And today I regret it, of course. I don't give anything to play with Ian, yeah.
Well, I want to say publicly, I'm a fan of Ian Mitchell, and rest in peace to Ian, and we sure do miss him and his contributions to the music world.
He's a beautiful, beautiful guy. I miss him so much.
I've been collecting...
And Alan as well.
Oh, gosh.
Alan, God, it's just too close. Alan was still the most beautiful guy, and he was just so funny. I think of the tours, and Alan Longmire, of course, and he was just, he was probably the leader, in a way. Eric had the most say, but I think Alan would have been the leader, and he was just funny, very funny.
I've been collecting Ian Mitchell solo music, and I've just been talking to Alan's son Jordan, who's become a friend of mine, and just a great. They share the same Shangalang. They both have the same nickname, Shangalang.
Is it? Oh, yeah.
Yes, that's funny.
Shagalang, as we used to sing in the old days.
I know. That's what Pat told me. Anyway,
edit, we go.
Thank you for explaining that about Ian. I appreciate that, and I respect that, and I'm glad that that request by Wendy was fulfilled. Thank you so much, and much respect.
Thank you, Sister Tracy, as well, and Derek. Appreciate you having me on always.
Thank you, Duncan, so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, and thank you to
rock and roll.
Thank you to lovely Thank you to lovely Michelle for being instrumental in helping us set up the interview. And Duncan, bless you and keep on rocking.
Oh, and you too. Keep on rocking. Thanks, folks. God bless.
I'll be in touch, okay, Duncan?
All right. Okay, stay in touch.
Take care, brother.
Good luck. Okay, bye.
Cheers, Duncan.